Hi friends, welcome back. It is almost the new year, which is crazy. I can't believe it has come so fast. And 2024 went by so quickly. Kind of crazy. It feels like a blur. I don't remember anything. How fun. But with the new year coming so quickly, it is my favorite time of the year, which is talking about all of the fantastic books that are coming next year. I have so many series that I'm like in the middle of and just waiting for the next book to come out in the series, and they're coming out next year. How exciting. I feel like it's like when you were younger and you'd watch shows and stuff like that and you'd just be waiting for the next season. I feel that perpetually on so many different series that I'm reading. So, we're just going to jump right into it, talk about some of the books, some of 10 to be specific, which happy coincidence that it ended up that way, but it felt right. So we're going to talk about my 10 most anticipated books of 2025, and let's just go ahead. Okay, so I have this split up into two different sections. We have section number 1, which is the books that are like, I don't want to call them standalones. I guess they could be standalones. There might be some in there that are a series. I'm not positive. I think there's one or two that I think are possibly going to be a series, but we have either the first in a series or a standalone, and then we have the continuation of a series. So for the standalones, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about what they're about, but for the series, I'm going to talk about what the first book is about, because I feel like you can't talk about like the second or third book in a series without like spoiling the rest of it, and if you haven't read the rest of it, you get what I'm saying. I'm moving on. Let's start off with the first category, which is standalones or first in the series. And number 1 is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. I am hoping I pronounce everyone's names correctly. If I don't, feel free to correct me. I am horrible. But she is the author of, oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget what it's called. When I did a reading vlog on this, or some type of video with this book involved. I will pin it above. I got the title of this book wrong every single time that I said it, so I'm gonna say the name. I'm not gonna check myself, and it's gonna be partially right, if not correct. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Let me know. Did I get it right? That is the book that she wrote, which I read this year. That was one of the books that I was like, it was on my TBR for so long, and I finally got around to reading it. So good, so cozy. So I noticed when I was like looking at that one, like adding it to my Goodreads to check it off, I was looking and I saw that she had a new book coming out next year, which is insane and so exciting because this one seems springy. So let me jump into what it's about if we want to just me digress about her other books. But this is about a girl who brings her aunt back from the dead using her magic, and this puts a big strain on her. She loses like pretty much all of her powers, and she runs an inn with her aunt. She's very grumpy. There's a talking fox. There's a love interest that comes in. I think it's going to be cozy. Reasoning behind talking about her other book so much is authors, and I say as if I know, I've only read one book by her, but authors, like, when they have that style, and I can even just tell by looking at the front cover of the book, it's the same style. It's just those, like, cozy, no plot, you're just reading it and enjoying it, and you like, it's more character driven. At least that's how her first book was. I'm assuming this is going to be the same way. And I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be springtimey. It seems like it from the cover. And I won't have to wait until perpetually for fall to come and then not read it. And then, even though this could just happen in spring, we'll see. Okay, moving on. Number 2, we have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. We all know. I haven't stopped talking about her. She has been one of my favorite authors this year. I'm obsessed with her. But this book is about a girl who meets this guy. It's a romance, of course. Meets a guy, they have a great night, something happens, and she just says like, forget about me, we never did anything, like, it never happened, let's just move on with our lives. But of course, we know that's just not the case. And it seems like one of those, like, it's not like an insta-love thing. From the description of the book, it does seem as though it's more of they kind of don't like each other at the beginning, and then they come together. And that's just the gist. Not every romance book, that's so general, but romances follow a very specific, like, criteria in the most part. And I assume this one will be no different. I loved her other books. I'm gonna love this one too. And just keeping on my romance girlies train, we have Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I'm so excited about this one. I have just been obsessed and loved every single thing that Emily Henry has written, and this one is probably going to be no exception. But this is about two authors who are trying to write a biography on a reclusive person. She used to be in the limelight. She's an heiress. No one sees from her or hears from her anymore, and she lives in this big... If you've heard of, oh my god, why can't I remember the name of it? I want to say The Great American Dynasty, but I know that just can't be right. Maybe that is. The Last Great American Dynasty. I knew there was missing some words in there. By Taylor Swift. This is, I believe, Emily Henry, like, hinted at this song. It seems like a book version of that song. Kind of. Vaguely. I like it, though. I like the vibes. We know Emily Henry's a Swiftie, I believe. So, I'm down for it. Very excited. I love, oh my gosh, what is that? Book lovers? And I think this is going to be a similar vibe with, like, two authors. I think it's going to be good. And then next, those were my romances, my romancy girls. And then we have The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. And this one's coming out of left field. I have never heard of this author before. I haven't read anything by her ever, but I did see, like, I don't know if it was a TikTok or what it was, like some short form about this book, and it looks so good. The top of the description, if you look, like, on Goodreads, is The Cruel Prince meets The Selection. Come on. I'm gonna be obsessed. Even though I liked The Selection, but, like, I wasn't obsessed with it. I do love The Cruel Prince, though. And this is about a girl who they have a queen. She's a fae queen. They grant wishes, but this year her son is of age. She wants to marry him off, looking for a princess. And I mean, if you've read The Selection, you understand there's probably going to be a competition between the women, and they're going to pick one. And I'm hoping, because it's compared to The Cruel Prince, I hope they don't say that just because there's fae involved. I'm hoping he's, like, kind of Cardan vibes, because I love Cardan. I know it's like honestly, The Cruel Prince is a bully romance. Let's be honest here. That's exactly what it is. And I like it. I don't know. I'm into it. I want to read it. So I can't wait. Give it to me. I'm so excited. And finally, for our standalones is, How Satisfying. Each category has 5 books. This was not intentional. I'm actually so impressed with myself, and I think that this is an amazing thing that's happened. But our final book for standalones is Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reid. She did A Study in Drowning, other books as well, but A Study in Drowning is my favorite one by her. It's just beautiful. She has a beautiful writing style. If you like V.E. Schwab, like The Immortal Life of Addie LaRue type of V.E. Schwab, because I feel like that book is very unique to some of her other stories, you will like Ava Reid, because that's the vibe she gives, especially in A Study in Drowning. But this book is super unique sounding. I'm very excited. But it is about a girl who her family is in debt to the higher up people, the hierarchy. There's a term for it, I just can't remember exactly what it's called. And due to this, she has to essentially be a lamb to the slaughter. Like, she has to be hunted, and our other main character, is one of those hunters. So it's like Hunger Games almost, but imagine Hunger Games if, like, half the people were trained assassins and half the people were just, like, regular people with not assassin experience. And I'm here for it. I am intrigued to see if it's like an arena setting or if it's going to be like everywhere. Like there's no constraints, no boundaries. Like they're hunting these people down like in the wild essentially. So I'm very excited for that one. It's very dystopian sounding and I love Ava Reed. So our next section, which is the one I am arguably the most excited about, is our, how do I want to word this? Like continuations of a series section. But the first one on our list is, this one is, I'll go further into it when I say what it is. Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is, I think, the final. I could be wrong. I don't know if this is just a trilogy. It is the third book in the Powerless series. Technically it's kind of 4 because there is a novella in the middle, but the Powerless series as a whole is about a girl, pretty sure her name's Peyton. It sounds so funny. I don't know why I expect them to have like crazy names in fantasy books for some reason, but she is powerless, so she pretends to have powers so that she's not killed, because in this world you cannot be powerless. They see you as like a sickness or a plague, and that you will harm the people who do have powers. So you're not allowed to be powerless. They assassinate you if you are. And she pretends to have a power so that she can live her life. She lives in the slums. And one day she accidentally saves the prince's life and is put into this competition for, it's like, it's not Hunger Games competition. It's like this competition of people with powers, essentially. They're just like fighting to be the best. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. But this is the third one. Now this is where I'm unsure about this one comes in, is that I really didn't like the second one. I liked the first one. The second one was okay. I'm intrigued to see about the third one. And this is one where I'm like, it could go either way. I could either like it or I'm not gonna like it. I don't think it's gonna be fantastic. Just because I didn't really like the second one, and I don't really like the love interests together because they just fight about the same thing over and over again. Like, it just seems like there's no resolution, and it's kind of irritating. But also, it is definitely like a full rip of the Red Queen. It is super similar to the Red Queen. So if this concept sounds fun to you, just go read the Red Queen, honestly. But I do recommend the first book in Powerless is pretty good, but that's kind of where it stops for me, whereas I feel the Red Queen gets better, like in the more books you read, but I digress. The second one we have is Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but this is one of my favorite series ever. It's so fun. This is the, I think the first one is Assistant to the Villain, and it is such a fun story. It's like, imagine fantasy, like The Office. Like, imagine Michael Scott is like a sexy, attractive, witty villain. If you can. If that's possible for you to see. But it's like a full running office. Like, this villain has like workers and employees, and they all work, and like, it's so fun. But the romance in it is so good. I don't know what it is. It's just funny and quirky, and like, the main character, the girl who gets the job as the assistant to the villain, is so funny and just like oblivious to everything, and like, the villain is just really grumpy. It's cute. It's like the grumpy and like the super golden retriever like girl. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. But this is the third one. I loved the first one the most. The second one was good, but I'm very excited for the third one. There's also a frog. And he holds up signs to like talk, like to say he has signs, like a little sign. Oh, it's so fun. And then continuing on the train of just like quirky fantasy, we have Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. Again, another third in the series. And this is a story, the first one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairy. It's about a girl who, she's a woman, it's an adult book, but she studies fairies from, like, that's her, I can't remember if she's like PhD or something like that. And as the stories progress, she's like wanting to write like a book about fairies. And the first one, it's like she has a rival there with her, enemies to lovers kind of thing, except they're not enemies, just like educational rivals, work rivals. I don't know, but it's so fun. I love them so much, and I cannot wait for the next one. I eat every single one of them up. I'm a fan. Next we have Between These Broken Hearts by Lexi Ryan, and funny enough, when I was looking at this on Goodreads, this is actually the 4th book in the These Hollow Vows series, but it's technically like a spin-off duology. So it's like These Hollow Vows is like a duology, and then there's the first book is called Beneath These Cursed Stars, and that's like its own duology. But as a whole, the duology is essentially, at least the first one, about 2 girls. One is a princess, and one is, I think she's just a normal average person, but she has the power to shapeshift, and they trade places because the princess wants to do like some secret spy assassin stuff, and that other girl needs to get into the position of the princess. So they work together, switch spots, and I'm trying to think of like what this reminds me of. It's almost like Princess and the Pauper vibes almost. But I really liked the first one actually. It drags a lot in the middle, but then like it really picks up at the end. And I do find that it switches between the POVs of the princess and the shapeshifter, and I do prefer like one character over the other. So I do find myself like I get bored when I'm reading the other person. But I do think it's fun. It's not as good as These Hollow Vows, but I like it. And our final book of 2025, I'm sure there's going to be so many more. I'm going to find more and more are going to get released, but this is our list for now. And it is Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli, and this is the 2nd book in the Heartless Hunter series. It's also called The Crimson Moth. I think depending on whether you're UK or US, it has 2 different names, which I find so interesting. But the series is about a woman who she's in the like, she's not royalty, but she's like in the elite, and she is actually a witch. Witches are not allowed to exist anymore. They're killed, they're hunted down, and she is hiding that she's a witch. She's essentially facading as this like dumb rich girl who lives in this estate, and she's secretly at night turning into the Crimson Moth and like rescuing witches that are being hunted and getting them out of the world, the little section they live in, because like witches are allowed to live other places. It's just like this country that they're not allowed to be. So she hunts them, saves them, and sends them on their way. There are witch hunters who are out there, obviously the people who are catching the witches, and one of them is this like, again, he's like this elite witch hunter, and she pretends to court him so that she can get his secrets, and he's pretending to court her because he knows that like there's being witches smuggled on the ships that she owns. So it's very fun. Oh, it's so good. I loved the first one. It was a surprising one for me. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, but I'm very excited for the next one. That is all. I can't believe that is all 10 books that are coming out in 2025 that I am so excited about. I can't wait to see what other books are coming out. If there's any that you guys have your eyes on that I've maybe missed, or because I could be unaware of another book that's coming out that I would be interested in reading. Let me know down below any books that you're excited about, or any books you think I should be excited about. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!